So I've had to make a workaround, and I've cut some 40mm strips off the top piece, and I'm going to just use hot glue to hold them in place, and then on the back side of them, or on the interior, use fiberglass filler to make them a permanent fixture, as they will become. The trick is that they're flexible down the side, and as you can see, I'm mating them. I've marked the top very carefully to mate the top of this to the bottom of the top piece, and the gap therefore is now 2 cuts. It's actually 6mm, and I'm going to use filler to fix up that gap. This is my super epoxy, and this is super filler, I should say. Just tacking in place here. It all looks very messy, and I'm very sorry about this. But one thing I've decided to do is to make a couple of discs so that I can get this right. And these discs will be 132mm across. I'm going to put a thread in them like I did for the other parts. As you can see, it's enabled me to make a perfect 132mm disc. In the previous video you saw how that enabled me also to line the motor up. So there's been some wins out of the mistake, but this actually hasn't been so bad. But now we're going to get into the issue of the hydroplanes, and I'm now at the stage where I'm trying to mate those nicely and do it around a nicely aligned rod. So the idea is that this sleeve will now fit onto here like so. This will go inside the hull, and this will go on the other side, and both of these will protrude, and I'm going to glue them in place with a nice piece of this rod in place so that I can make sure it's all square. That's the idea. So now I want to cut my stub, as you've seen previously. And sometimes there's no substitute for a hacksaw, for a fretwork saw. My fretwork saw is very, very old. Very gentle process, but very clean finish. I'd stick the mating surfaces in the sander very quickly just to get them the little ridges out, but it's very nice. And you can see I've marked with 4 marks on there to show which stub fits with which fin and on which side. So this is the tricky part of fitting this on. Honestly, it wasn't easy. Took me a while to get that on the inside, but there it is. And that's the stub. The other stub, there's a bit of sleeve on the inside of each. And now we've got the epoxy out, and this is the point in time where you don't want to make a mistake. Having a nice long piece of rod helps because it assists in the process of making sure it's square. Very nice. So here we are, carefully filing through the centre of the dog bone. Doesn't take too long really. I talk to myself all the time. Have to say, that's pretty lovely. Nice fit. Now I've just soldered on the joint for the, and you can see inside here it's working pretty well. I've now connected it up to a servo. Well, that's where the servo is going to be, and it's all going to fit really nicely. I have to say, I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, so I've got this piece of brass now running through here. I've got the linkage in here. So the big test is to put another piece of brass up through here and feed it in, and then part company. So in fact there's a gap there, which there now is. Hope this isn't going to fall out. Okay, nothing about this is easy. I know. We shall tilt it on its side. The only way of doing this. Okay. Now the gap is free. Now we take this. This isn't the right way around, but it doesn't matter. That now goes into here and goes into here, and I can feel it binding. Let's see where it is. It's binding on the base. Plenty of metal. This is for the grub screw, top and bottom. I've had to make myself a long arm Allen key so I can get into this. I did that by silver soldering a piece of Allen key into some brass. Sometimes you have to make your own tools. And now we're looking at the hydroplanes. Same process, but there's about 9mm off center from the fulcrums, which helps. Just checking the lengths here, because I've been grinding the inside down and there's no, I'm just going to make sure it's right. We're going to open out the hole, just like we discussed for the sleeve. You just got to really check this with enormous care. It's got to be square, it's got to be right, and I'm filing these holes with a very fine file. And as you can see, two lovely long pieces of rod are very helpful in this process. It's got to be square lengthwise, it's got to be properly horizontal. Yep, not right yet. You can see the sides of the hull have all been glued on, and I have filled them. And although the interior is messy, as I've discussed, it's not at all bad.